Good day, everybody. This is Brad Dyke reaching out to you real quick. Going to cover something a little different, but it does relate to IT. And I've dealt with this many times in data centers and sites and companies and stuff like that. And that is, what is a good or a solid standard when dealing with cameras, security systems, VDRs, and so on. So I thought we would start off with just doing that, talking about that with a simple 4-unit discussion. So let's get into it. Okay, so what do we have here? Well, today we have the Hiseeu HD NVR kit. I got it on eBay. I'm sorry, no, I got this on Amazon. I stand corrected. And give me a second here. I will show you the make and model there. There you go. And basically this kit comes with 4 Wi-Fi based camera systems, a DVR station, a support voucher. So it comes with a DVR, which is this guy right here with a 1 terabyte hard drive on board, a remote exterior antenna, 2 internal antennas. This does not come with it, but this is for later. It's a QC BNC based, but this is what does come with the unit. It's a Wi-Fi based communication unit that makes its connection and so on through a series of 1, 2, 3s. Now the big difference here is in this end point here you have your power output to power it, and then you've got your reset switch, which is inside this little cap here, versus its comparative, which is the BNC camera. This is a 1080 camera here, and it has a BNC interface, no reset button, and a power output just like the other unit. So with this DVR, it also comes with a mouse. Again, it's support documentation. And then we're going to flip this around to show basically that this is a small Linux appliance device that has general IP connectivity to it. VGA output, HDMI output, USB for offloading if you need to. Sometimes you don't need to, but it's something that's very valuable. And it's a fairly simple 1, 2, 3. Now the one thing I do like to see on these units is an on-off switch, but there isn't, so you're going to be forced to unplug the power to power cycle the unit, which can be a little bit of a headache, but I was being cost effective in this regard. On the front you have your selector state, your power indication LEDs, and basically its status indicators. But this is a fairly simple 1, 2, 3. Now one of the things to take note is that if you look down below, you see the square mounting points for a hard drive, which there is one in here. It's a 1 terabyte drive, and there's also one for 3.5 if you want to get it like high capacity. And that would give you longer longevity between when you refresh and clean off images and when you don't. Pay close attention. You've got some support information on this, and so far I'm pretty pleased with this platform. As you can see there in the picture, that's what it's going to look like eventually. But I have here everything I need to set up connectivity and to stage the ability for the units to work. So I'm going to build this unit out here, and then I will turn around and I will install the units into different locations in the house so that I can get what I want. Now, this is an endpoint device, which means it makes connectivity by antenna to antenna. There is no BNC interface, so you can't add a BNC infrared camera like you have here. So the only other functionality you can do in regards to the Wi-Fi side of things is to place a exterior output antenna somewhere so that it would also have connectivity and doing what needs to be done for picking up a single wave channel connection. Now, to make that happen, if you were going to use that, you would have to go to the back and you would have to set a dismount, which would be one of these antenna feeds, to accomplish that. My recommendation is don't try to install a unit like this just yet. Work with what you've got and go forward. So with that being said, next stage is I'm going to bring up the spin up process for the unit and power it up. Okay, so I've got this unit connected up. It's got its Wi-Fi output here. I've got the instructions there. But also something else I recommend you to do. These power supplies are unique, so it's advantageous to use what's called a specialized Sharpie. In this case, one of these. It writes on black really well, and you label your power supply so that you know what is connected to what, because you never know when this gets disconnected and lost, and you got to find it again and blah blah blah. So my strategy is I'm going to put this on the top of the basement rack, the telco rack that has my phone services and all of that in it, and I'll put this downstairs in there, and probably I'm going to side mount it kind of like this, so that I can get it a little higher to the ceiling. But with that being said, and I've got power going, I've got my instruction modules here, and then of course I've got my login screen here so I can stage my devices. So stand by for a second while I stage a camera. Okay, so when you attempt to do the login, the very first thing you need to understand is your login is going to be admin and no password. So my advisement to you is, as you're staging this and trying to learn how to do this, remember that in the process of doing it, you're going to have to remember to add a difficult password. That would be 8.2 standard. That means capital letter, lowercase letter, at least 8 characters, a pound sign or some type of special character, and numeric value as well. So you want to do that. But for now, you have what's called the staging area, and what I've done here is I've added one camera down here, a IP camera that came with the unit. And again, don't forget to label your power supplies or they'll get confused or lost, and you don't want that. So here we're going to identify our time zone, which in this case is going to be should be that one, 5+, isn't it? And then let's see if it takes. Okay. We have identifier for the wireless channel state. It's going to roughly run, we're going to go a little high on it. We'll go 13. And we will FCC, that's the US. And it's identified what needs to be set to. And here we want to identify wireless LAN. We want to give it an ID name. For now, I'll just stage one. And I'll stage a password. Stand by for a second. Okay, so at this point in stage, we've got an IP address set up. We've got the Wi-Fi LAN set up. And of course, we have a QR code status set up so we can use cell phones. So at this point in stage, I'm going to stop this video to do some pre-configurations, and then I'll return back in and we'll keep going. Okay, so as we're doing the evaluation here, and you can see me in the photos here, you definitely have to, read the manual as you're getting into this setup configuration. But I will say this about the cameras. The cameras run on a 172.octet secure that will connect by these guys right here, and they go, that's how they communicate back and forth in their internal wireless isolated VLAN. That's non-routable, which is great. Now the cameras themselves, a couple things about them that kind of are a little bit odd. You have to put your finger on the photostat here, for instance, like that, and if you do it right, you will get them to glow red. and it's kind of hard to do. So that's the problem right there. But if you do it right, they will glow red. All three of the LEDs on the front, which are a little higher yield based LED configuration. The interesting thing about this is that when you get the camera on board and you go in here, right click, and go to wireless aid, this is where it finds the cameras that you have, and you plug the power into the camera right here. Then you pop the cap and you hold that cap down for 5 seconds, or 5 Mississippi. It will not post if you just plug the power in, and there's no LED prompt to show you that you're good to go. The only thing you can do is to put your finger over the photocell eye, and I can't do it because it's looking directly in very bright light, but you basically cover the photo eye like that, and these three LEDs will glow red. These are infrared and ultraviolet, I suspect. I'll have to test that to confirm, but basically by setting it this way, those will light up as so indicated in the page. But it's kind of hard because the glass sheen rewrites the lighting around the actual unit itself. So with that being the case, you're working with a little bit of a restriction, but overall the configuration and setup is pretty clean. So here we show 3 of the 4 cameras. I have the 4th camera in reserve. Reserve means basically these cameras are low dollar cost cameras. They can basically wear out quickly if you're not sure, and it's very easy to just simply pop it off and replace it with your spare camera, and that will work out. Now eventually you can get better cameras, but unfortunately they're going to have to be the brand of the Hiseeu, which is the Hiseeu brand, so that it can properly provide you access to the 172 20 octet range. Now that's the internal. Now externally you are connected by your local network here, which will provide internet connectivity. Very important to understand that process, because when you're working with the DVR, or in this case the NVR, you need to be able to get the device in so it can properly update, as well as be front end to outbound connectivity if you want to do that. Now in my home, I use double security templating, so that makes it a little easier to manage. But from here you can go in and you can do the system setup, which is your date, time, all that good stuff, your playback, your video backup control mechanism, color adjustments, piezoelectrics, which you don't have. Most people don't use motorized cameras. Setup wizard, fast network, wireless aid, and of course exit. This right here will give you a variety of different displays. You can go all the way out to 8, which is what it will support, or 4, which is the more common one, which will give you about 2 months worth of backup on a 1 terabyte drive. But that is all determined on how you stage your devices. Okay, so here we have all 4 devices, 1 offline, 2 that are online, and they're functional. So with that being the case, I don't have to do too much here right out of the box, except for staging your passwords. You go in here, and here they are. Right now they're all blank. Bad idea. Super bad idea. You want to put passwords in here, and you want to retest to make sure those passwords work. And that's going to be via by mouse control. Now that's something else that's interesting here. Also understand that you only connect up a mouse. In this case, the mouse is a cheap, low-profile mouse, but it's still a good little decent mouse. But it allows you to do all the basic administration that what you want to do. But make sure your NVR station has a in-detailed password, and also your cameras, or you can be backdoor hacked, and that's not good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my 4th camera into the equation here and change all of my passwords from nothing to something and take it from there. So I will let you go, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, so lastly, we've got everything configured. It's clean, which means now I can start mounting these cameras on the floor and stuff. But for now, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show you how you can really truly confirm that these cameras are up and running and that it's not too difficult to manage and work with. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and show you what that would look like. So I'm going to turn the light out, and when I do that, the glass won't be a problem anymore about showing the capacity. Now there are the cameras. They're turning their lights on, and they are now going black and white because it is dark. Now if you look here, there's one right there, and it's casting an infrared spectrum. And then you look over here. Again, your lights, these are pretty bright actually, surprisingly. And that's how you know that your cameras are good to go. So the last thing to look at here is to consider how you want to do your resolution aspects, your recording aspects. Are you doing your recording, so on and so on. So as you get to go through and start playing with this is the part I really can't help you with, because you just have to learn how you really want it. If you set up what we call dead zones, where there's something constantly moving, it's just going to burn up your hard drive space. So you learn how to block that out, like a spinning fan, or something like a moving tree. And when it sways in the wind, you want to be able to get those areas out of your equation so that you can get a nice clean overall backup and resolution aspect. So with that being said, you also notice that I put my fourth camera online, just to make sure that the camera is ready to go when I pull it out of my spare containment and I use it, because I might decide I want to use it. I don't want to do anything but give it power and I'm done, and we walk away from it. So that's a good way of doing it, to be preemptive. Remember also to mark your power supplies with a green or a gold or something on the black that basically tells you that these belong to these cameras, and that you won't get them confused, because that happens a lot. Alright, that's it for me on this video. You guys take care. God bless. Good night.